Hello and welcome to Bike Shop Ravonia, where they have more than 300 motorcycles on their floor, including some very interesting exotics. With everything that's available, you might be surprised at my choice. It's a BMW C650 GT scooter. Yes, a scooter, not just that, it's a hyperscooter or maxi scooter, depending on which vernacular you choose on using. Now, what is really interesting about this motorcycle is the fact that it hasn't taken off in South Africa. People just don't use them. They just don't happen. Which is kind of interesting. You kind of go, yeah, okay, South African mentality, but why would I buy this a scooter? What I want a scooter for? And the truth is that, the answer to that came when they actually had a BMW launch in South Africa, and they had a whole lot of German engineers from BMW. And one of the South African journalists, at that time this bike was just coming out, so it was about 2009, 2010, round about there somewhere. One of the South African journalists asked one of the German engineers, he said, "Why are your scooters so expensive?" Naming that they were pretty much the same price as a motorbike. And I think he actually said you could actually buy a full-on motorbike for that price. And the engineer looked at him weirdly and said, "But the scooter version is better in every way. Why would you want a motorbike?" And you sort of stop and had to look at it for a little while. And he said little things like, it is more comfortable, it's more stable, it handles better, it's easier to ride, it's more practical, and better in every single way. So I thought, while we've got this motorcycle, let's put all of that to the test. When we say that maxi scooters are popular globally, we are not exaggerating. Annually, more than 15 million maxi scooters make their way to new homes. And the current trend suggests that that number will only grow over the next few years. This specific bike is a 2014 model on sale for 79,000 Rand, and it's in pretty good nick too. It has a 647cc parallel twin motor that's liquid cooled and fed by electronic fuel injection. It also pushes 60 horsepower and 66 Nm of torque. This bike doesn't really accelerate, it wafts. So it's got a CVT gearbox, which is a type of automatic gearbox that I do not understand, but it doesn't change gear at all. So what it does is that the bike keeps the motor at a certain kind of revs. It's got like an optimal sort of rev or rev range. It keeps it there and instead adjusts the speed. So the gearing's sort of adjustable. So the revs stay in the same place, but the sort of gearing changes. Don't ask me how that works, but it does. But you open the throttle, it doesn't really accelerate that much, but it wafts forward. Okay, there we go. That's a fair amount of movement forward actually. But it does it in such a manner whereby it doesn't kind of hit you. It sort of gives you like this very firm push along, a waft along. There we go. Move forward. There's no clutch. Where the clutch lever is the rear brake, and there's no pedals down at the floor. So yeah, you just turn the throttle and it moves. So one problem with being automatic is that there's no gear to put it in when you want to park it. You need a handbrake. Now normally what they do is they put a little lever somewhere and and that's a bit of a faff and it's a bit expensive. What they've done cleverly with this thing is they put the handbrake on the side stand. So look, the side stand's out. I'm not going anywhere, so park safe and soundly. So it doesn't have a problem with speed, but what about the chassis? This bike is incredibly long and very low to the ground, which is what it's supposed to be, I'm told. I mean, I read an engineer's report once or somewhere where an engineer was saying that technically most motorcycles are too tall and too short, that they should be longer, they should be low to the ground. I don't really know the exact science behind it, but this bike is very low to the ground and very long and feels amazing. It's so stable. There is nothing. I mean, even you've got smaller wheels on this thing, yet it's so stable. It feels, this is pretty much one of the most stable motorcycles I've ever ridden. It's also 261 kilograms, which would normally be a big problem.
but not in this case, because it helps with the stability. It's once something's heavier, then it kind of absorbs everything more. It's less kind of upset by bumps and all sorts of things. And this thing, even though, I mean, this is a very bumpy road we're going down, and it's not bad at all. It feels pretty damn good. As far as handling goes, well, it does that. I mean, it's not, yeah, age-old story, not going to win races, but here we go, up this way, down this way, chuck it into this way. It feels, the center of gravity is so very low that it just sort of does exactly what you want. And you're never going to lean it really far enough, to get like racetrack styles of things, so that's not really a problem.
And of course, a real motorcycle needs something in the way of technology. It has that indeed.
So there are some creature comforts. This is the GT model, so the screen goes up and down, which is very good electronically, so feel all fancy. It's got heated grips, which is very good. It's also got heated seats, which I discovered after I picked the bike up from Rivonia, only to discover that one of the staff members there just sort of accidentally turned the heated seats all the way up to maximum. I'm sure it was a mistake. It must have been a mistake. None of them would do that on purpose. Am I right, boys? None of you would do that on purpose. Yeah. You'd never do that to joke on one of your friends. Hey. But it is like luxurious. I do get a feeling of sort of luxury of... The word executive keeps coming to mind. I'm not sure why. But there's a whole lot of executiveness going on here. And I just feel good. So first part about it is comfort. You need to get on the motorcycle. Now normally, I'm a short guy, even made worse by the fact that I'm a bit disproportionate. My body's very long, my legs are very short. Not absolutely perfect for motorcycle riding. However, with this, it's quite easy. All I need to do is do that. Look at that, I'm on the motorcycle. Look, my feet can touch the floor. I'm slightly tippy-toe, but not too bad. So my seating position is pretty damn good. I mean, I'm in a lovely position here. I'm like I'm sitting in a chair. I could be watching TV. I could park this in my lounge, turn on the telly, watch some TV while I'm sitting on my hyperscooter. And I get to do that instead while I'm riding motorbikes. That's pretty cool. There's no leg back or leg very far forward. It's just a chair, a comfy sort of chair. It should all be like this.
At the same time as all that, it does help that it's an actual scooter too.
Checking this through traffic like nothing. We go around like this, through like this. For people in America wondering, this is what first world countries do. They allow lane splitting through traffic. Look at this. All these people have to sit around and wait and get older and die prematurely and all of that, but I just go straight through. Look at this, like nothing. Also, something interesting is that this is a working robot. Now in Johannesburg, you don't get those very often. It's like, look kids, you take your family out for it to have a look at it. A working robot. Incidentally, a robot's a traffic light for people overseas watching this. They're called robots in South Africa because before they introduced traffic lights, policemen used to go and direct traffic at busy intersections. Then when the traffic lights went up, the locals called them robot policemen, which just became robots. The name robots is way cooler than traffic light. Now here's the other thing, boot space. Boot space is very important. We've got two little boots over here. There's a little boot over there. There's a little boot over there. There we go. There's a whole lot of space over there. In fact, you can fit tons. You can fit a lot more than just a cell phone in there. And then of course you've got the main boot area, which is unlocked over here with a key. Look at this. Look how much space we've got here. Now, let me just show you some of the things I've got. First of all, look at this, massive camera bag, fits in there easily. And then I picked up some groceries along the way. It's the essential health foods like Pringles, a nice health drink, Red Bull, and then of course some other kind of just things that are essential to keep your adult metabolism going in modern day society. All of that fits inside the boot, and it'll take a bit more.
So far we have discovered that the Moto pulls well, it's comfortable, it handles well, it's stable, and it has enough boot space to fit a small human. Now on to the next big trick. Is it happy out on the open freeway?
Yeah, well, scooters traditionally cannot just happily sort of sit on freeways. This bike can. Because you see, while it is a scooter, it's also a 647cc twin. Now, if you had a motorbike that was a 647cc twin, you'd go, okay, no problem, perfect, no problem. But scooter, no. Now, right now I'm doing 100. Speed limit's 120, so let's go to 120. There we go, no problem. We're now just under 120. If I were feeling particularly brave, then I could actually open the throttle and get up to just under 180 kilometers per hour. And even at that speed, this thing feels absolutely stable, absolutely like nothing. Not that I would know, because doing more than 120 is illegal, obviously, you know. And bad people, only bad people do that sort of thing. What it does feel like, though, is still incredibly comfortable. What I am going to do, though, is I'm going to lift up the screen a little bit higher. There we go. Just get out that bit of that wind buffering. There we go. See there, now feels so much better. Yeah, this is comfortable. I could actually, it's like an armchair. I can rest back. I've got like a little bit of back support, you know, and I can chill. I can relax. I can cruise down the freeway on my cruiser scooter, and life is very good. Life is indeed actually excellent. So here's the thing, scooters, maxi scooters in South Africa have not really taken off. And I'm pretty sure most of that is just down to the sort of vibe of it. You know, if you're going to ride a motorcycle, it needs to be a big, bad motorcycle. And if you're, you know, scooters are, again, it's either delivery guys or little girls going to the shops to buy flowers. That's the kind of mentality. And it's a silly mentality. This is not a little scooter for going down to the shops. This is something so much more. This is so much everything. The Europeans have that correct. They're doing it right. That's one thing they're doing slightly better than us. We should ride maxi scooters. We shouldn't have a problem with it.
So the answer is yeah, why don't South Africans ride these? They're perfect. Absolutely perfect. And if your last stance, your last absolute argument is, yeah, but it's a scooter, and scooters for people of a less masculine nature. Valentino Rossi had not one of these, but a hyper scooter like it, that he spent most of his time, when he lived in London and Italy, he spent most of his time riding one of those around. Are you a more masculine macho rider than Valentino Rossi? The answer is no. In fact, there's only a handful of people who could maybe possibly argue that they're more macho than Valentino Rossi. It's not you. It's definitely not you. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Now, as we have discussed in the show previously, Ducati in South Africa is undergoing a bit of a regime change. Taking over Ducati South Africa is VW Group Africa. Now, okay, Ducati globally belongs to VW. VW bought it some time ago. They got it under the Audi, which is also part of VW, as is Lamborghini, Bugatti, Porsche, a bunch of others. I mean, the VW Group is huge. So what's going to happen is Ducati South Africa is going to go under VW Group Africa, and it's going to be kind of interesting because it has by far the biggest backing Ducati in South Africa has ever had, by miles, and it's going to do some good things. Now, we announced this, we sort of understood this last year already, and it's taken them a year to sort of get off the ground, and there's been a lot of complications for it, homologating, all that kind of thing. But good news from their side, they are now up and running. Ducati is running under VW Group SA. Motorcycles have entered the country, and things are properly up and running. Now, some of the benefits, of course, parts and all that kind of thing, and that's always kind of it, you know, are there going to be spares, are there going to be that? Well, the thing is, VW in South Africa has this big logistics department and all sorts of things that they move VW parts all over the country, dealers everywhere, far more than Ducati ever has, for far more models, far more parts. And Ducati's going to benefit from that. So as quickly as VW parts move around the country, Ducati parts can also move around the country. And this is not just parts, it's going to be apparel, it's going to be motorcycles, it's going to be everything you can think of. Other things you're going to get. Now, VW has roadside assistance. Ducati owners will get that too. So if you get stuck on the side of the road with your Ducati, there is a call center. You call them, they say no problem, and they come pick up your motorbike. Just like when your VW breaks down. Yeah, same sort of thing. They will come and pick you up, which is really cool. Then the other thing is, Ducati is going to fall under VW Financial Services SA. Ducati is going to get that too. Now, what that means, but like you got the VW Motorrad Finance and all that kind of thing, is it's just going to mean better installments every month, better insurance quotes, better all kinds of things. They're going to bring in all the models available. They are going to be coming in, including a new XDiavel, which was just recently launched. And of course, Ducati is going to have their Desmo 450 motocross bike, which is very exciting. And more so, that's going to take part in King of the Whip at Monte Cassino later in this year. Do go and look up King of the Whip. It's a fantastic event, and you're going to get to see a Ducati 450 there. Now, the big question, of course, is dealers. What dealers are they going to have? Now, they've already got Centurion. That was a Ducati dealer from previously. They're staying on. That's Walden Motorcycles or Ducati Centurion. They're going to carry on, except now with more coverage, more everything. They still run. Cape Town, they've got Ducati Claremont. In the sort of heart of Cape Town. That dealership is now up and running, and this week Saturday, that's the 13th of September, they're going to be having a big opening. Do come along. I'm heading down there for that. I'm very excited, but that dealership is now up and running and looking very good, if I might say. Now, they're going to be more dealers. At the end of this year, they're going to be announcing a new dealership in Sandton. Again, very, very exciting. Middle Sandton, not sure where, the details are still unclear. But yeah, they look like there is going to be a Ducati dealership in Sandton, as you would expect. And then they're going to also be announcing, beginning of next year, there's going to be Ducati Umhlanga. So that's for the Durban lot, KZM people, Ducati Umhlanga. So there we go. Ducati is up and running under VWSA or VW Group Africa. Do go and take a look. Now, more news while we're on Ducati. Now, 2019, Andrea Dovizioso finished, I'm not going to say a close second, but he finished second to Marc Marquez in the MotoGP World Championship. A bit of interesting news, that Ducati that he raced, his actual race bike, a MotoGP race bike from 6 years ago, is on auction. Now, by the time you see this, it might be sold already, but it is the 2019 Ducati MotoGP bike, 300 horsepower, prototype. Everything there is prototype. Nothing is sort of commercially available on that thing. It is the pinnacle of apps of motorcycle racing, and it's going up for sale for between 500 and 700,000 pounds. That's a lot of money. So yeah, if you are stupidly rich and you have bought that motorbike, we'd like to hear from you. Now, moving on to something else, CFMoto. Now, a while ago we rode their 675 Superbike, and we did like it. We did love it very much. It's a lovely little nifty thing, cruises around, nice and sporty, nice and fun, very well made, and excellently priced. Now, CFMoto's gone one bigger. They've announced a 750 SR. It's a brilliant looking thing. It's got wings, which we rather enjoy. It's got a single-sided swing arm. It looks mean, it looks all the part, it looks great. It's got a 749cc inline 4-cylinder motor producing 110 horsepower and 80 newton meters of torque, and great, 100%, absolutely brilliant. Small problem, it's only homologated for regions not included. Now, South Africa falls under the European homologation, so motor vehicles need to be homologated for Euro standards, and then they can be imported to South Africa. This bike isn't going to go to Europe, so it means we can't get it, which is really, really sad, but it's not the end of the world, because this is just a stepping stone. Apparently, CFMoto is working on bigger and better superbikes that are coming out in the near future. They're going to be, I'm sure they're going to be a lot of fun to ride, judging by the 675, and they're also going to be very, very well priced. So indeed, look out for that.
Welcome back, ladies and gents. Now you catch me riding along a Ferrari, the fearless Hero X Pulse, which has been my companion now for 3 years. Love it very much. But we're not actually here to talk about Ferrari, who's still doing great. We're here to talk about, in fact, what you're actually being looked at, if that makes sense. So what we're going to talk about is the camera I'm currently filming myself with. It is, of course, the Insta360, the X4 version. That's, you know, the great part about it is the fact that you can film 360. So it films absolutely everywhere. It's got 2 cameras, each at 180 degrees, each with fisheye lenses, one behind the other, and what that does is that it films everything. So while you're riding along, while other cameras will just sort of point in one direction and that's all you can see, this films everything around it. So right now you could look forward, you could look at me, you could look sideways, you could look that way, you could do a full 360 if you really so feel like it, and that's what's so great about it. But this now, the one I'm using is the X4, which is now available for about 11 grand for just the camera, a little bit cheaper than it was before, on the grounds that Insta360 has released an X5, which we are going to be bringing you again soon. But something that the X5 and the X3 can do is connect to one of these. Now this over here is a Cardo device, it's a Bluetooth device. What it does is it fits inside your helmet. Now, I use a Scorpion helmet, that's what this one is over here, and the nice thing about Scorpion is they make accommodation for it, like there's little places for the earpiece to go, all of that. Now, it is something you need to fit to a helmet yourself, and I am the least mechanically, or should I say the most mechanically inept person on the planet. In matter of fact, mechanics have paid me to not do a job myself, because the job they're going to have trying to fix my mistakes is just not worth it. So they say, no, here's some money, let us rather fix it. I know, hey, good tactic. However, even I, with my absolute useless coordination, absolute illogical way of thinking, even I could put it in my helmet in about half an hour. So that just shows, hey, it's kind of easy. But the nice thing is, okay, with the Cardo, obviously you can do things like you can play music, it connects to your phone, it connects to everything, so you can ride along and you can kind of go, which is good fun. Or, you know, some people say they don't really like it, they just want kind of the freedom of riding. But, you know, for me, I'm a little bit different. On a long, boring stretch road, I kind of like, you know, you kind of get some tunes going, it sort of keeps you company. Or if you're not riding along an open stretch, you can actually have a soundtrack inside your ear. So while you're riding along, you can pretend to be like Indiana Jones or something like that with a soundtrack playing in your ear. Maybe one day I should grow up. But anyway, what it can also do is it can connect via Bluetooth to the Insta360. So what I'm doing right now is I've got the Cardo running, I've got the Insta360 recording, and I'm talking to you directly from my Cardo, directly to the Insta360. And that is very good news, because the nice part about it is I could just ride along, and if I feel like commentating on something, all I need to do is push record while I pair it up before, and then I just push record, and voila, you know, I can now talk. And you can actually give like a bit of a commentary on what you're doing. Here I am, I'm riding along, I just rode over a chicken, there's a giant elephant there, you know, whatever you like, you can actually talk about it while you're busy going along. And that's something that's very cool. I mean, previously on the bike show we used to get like all sorts of different onboard cameras, but then we had to get these special sound devices and then mount a camera inside our helmets and then run a cable and then do this and then do the volume and then do all of that. Now I just push a button, I just record, and then here we go, I'm talking to you. This is remarkable, although it's making social media a lot stronger, which puts people like me sort of in trouble, because now you on your own in your house can go home with one of these and record like a professional sort of studio type thing, and that's annoying. That's very annoying. But apart from that, yeah, Insta360, as I say, there's a new X5 out now. This one's still the X4, it still works perfectly. About 11 grand, you can get them from all over the place. Photo First, where you used to go and develop your film, you know, back in the old days, they are the importers, so you can get them at any Photo First. Otherwise, Bike Kings, most of the big motorcycle retailers stock them, so that's very, very cool.